Help me to reach 2,000 subscribers. The first time I noticed it, it was small, barely a flicker of suspicion. His suitcase had that faint, powdery scent of unfamiliar perfume, floral yet cold. I laughed it off, teased him about hotel soap, and kissed his cheek before he left again for another business trip. 17 years of marriage teaches you what to question and what to bury. I buried it. But last Tuesday, I dug it up. It was 3 a.m., and the glow of his laptop still burned on the desk. Ethan had fallen asleep on the couch after a late meeting. Something inside me, a whisper I'd ignored for months, told me to check. My fingers trembled as I opened his email. There it was, a string of flight confirmations. Same city. Same dates. Over and over again. Denver. Every conference, every client meeting, every excuse for the last 3 years, all in Denver. At first, I tried to rationalize. His company had a regional branch there. Maybe he was assigned to it often. But when I saw the hotel receipts, always the same one, and the Uber drop-off, same address, different from the hotel, my breath stopped. I copied the address, pasted it into Google Maps, and the screen filled with an image of a quiet suburban house with white shutters and red flowers by the porch. My stomach twisted. It didn't look like a client's home. It looked like someone's life. The next morning, I pretended everything was normal. I packed his favorite blue tie for his upcoming conference, kissed his cheek, and smiled through the nausea crawling up my throat. Don't stress too much, I said, forcing lightness into my tone. You work too hard. He smiled back, his lips brushing my forehead. I'll be back before you miss me. The irony almost made me choke. 3 days later, I stood outside that same suburban house in Denver. My hands were shaking as I clutched my coat tighter against the winter wind. I had told Ethan I was visiting my sister. Instead, I'd taken the same flight, stayed at a hotel across town, and followed his cab here. It was surreal watching him step out of the car, his face softening in a way I hadn't seen in years. A woman opened the door, tall, dark hair, maybe early 30s. She smiled as if she'd been waiting for him. He leaned in, kissed her like it was habit. That's when something inside me cracked, not loudly, not dramatically, but like glass splintering under slow pressure. I didn't scream. I didn't march up and confront them. I just stood there, frozen, as 17 years of love collapsed quietly in the cold air. Later that evening, I sat in my rental car outside a diner, staring at my phone. My thumb hovered over his number. I wanted to call him, ask him why. Ask him if she made him laugh like I used to. If she knew how he took his coffee. If she knew the stories behind his scars. But instead, I called my sister. She answered groggily, her voice soft with sleep. You okay? She murmured. I found him, I whispered. With her. There was silence. Then a sigh that carried more understanding than words ever could. Come home, Emma, she said gently. I can't, I said. Not yet. The next day, I did something I never thought I'd do. I knocked on that woman's door. She opened it wearing a robe, her hair damp from the shower. The surprise on her face turned quickly to discomfort, then guilt. Can I help you? She asked, her voice careful. I'm Ethan's wife, I said. My voice was steady, too steady. I think we should talk. She froze, her eyes darting toward the living room where I heard faint music playing. A mug sat on the counter, 2 plates on the table. She swallowed hard. I didn't know he was married. I let out a bitter laugh. Please. He's been flying here for years. Tears filled her eyes, but I didn't trust them. He told me he was divorced, she said, shaking her head. He said you left him. That you were the one who. I cut her off. Don't finish that sentence. The air between us thickened with shame, pain, and the echo of his lies. I turned to leave, but she called out softly. He's not here right now. He went to pick up groceries. I know, I said. I saw his car. Her eyes widened as I walked down the path. I didn't look back. I waited for him at the airport the next day. When he walked through the gate, his expression was calm, almost content, until he saw me. The color drained from his face. Emma, he breathed. "Hi, Ethan," I said quietly. We didn't speak until we got home. He followed me into the kitchen, fumbling for excuses, his words tangling like threads. "It wasn't what you think. It started when I was lonely, you were distant, and—" "Stop," I said. "You don't get to make this my fault." He looked small then, smaller than I'd ever seen him. "I didn't mean to hurt you." I smiled bitterly. "You didn't mean to get caught." The silence stretched between us until it became unbearable. Finally, I said the words that had been clawing at me since Denver. "Was she worth it?" He looked away. "I don't know." That answer broke something I didn't know was left to break. 3 months have passed since that day. The divorce papers sit signed in a folder by my desk. I still wake up sometimes expecting the sound of his keys, his laugh, his half-mumbled morning greetings. But they don't come. What does come is peace, uneven, fragile, but real. I moved into a smaller apartment by the coast. Some mornings I walk along the beach, the salt air biting at my cheeks, and I let myself feel everything. The loss, the anger, the betrayal, and the faint, stubborn pulse of hope beneath it all. Ethan emailed me once. He said he'd ended things with her, that he regretted everything. I never replied. Because forgiveness isn't something you owe someone who treated your love like a convenience. It's something you give yourself, quietly, when you decide to stop carrying their guilt. I deleted his email that night, closed the laptop, and let the sound of the ocean fill the silence he left behind. And for the first time in 17 years, I didn't feel alone. I felt free.